Hello there. A warm welcome to Power Wheel, the weekly program of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, that brings to fore prospects, challenges and strides in the power sector. I am Omelogo Nadi. This week on the program, Federal Executive Council approves new policy framework for critical investments aimed at enhancing the capacity of the existing distribution networks. Unknown vandals destroy New Haven Nsukka double-circuit line under construction in Enugu State. Plus, a very informative and revealing interview with the Acting Director General of the National Power Training Institute of Nigeria, NAPTIN, will be all yours if you stay with us on this episode of the program. Let's unfold today's package with events that shaped Nigeria's power sector. It's the Power News segment. The federal government has taken a giant stride to ensuring that all generated electricity injected into the national grid are adequately distributed to consumers across the country. This followed the approval of a new policy framework by the Federal Executive Council at its last meeting for critical investments that would enhance the transmission and power distribution networks. The details are up next.
The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, announced this while briefing newsmen after the council's meeting presided by President Muhammadu Buhari. He said the new framework will expand the 33 kV and 11 kV electricity distribution lines and ensure distribution of 2,000 megawatts of generated energy currently not being distributed by the distribution companies, DISCOs.
The memorandum from the Ministry of Power, Works and Housing, which Council approved today, was to agree to a framework of investment at the 33 kV and 11 kV lines of the distribution network, so that the 2,000 megawatt of power which we currently have and which is not getting to the grid can get to the grid and get to Nigerians and consumers.
Fashola said about 7,000 megawatts of electricity is being generated, but the DISCOs cannot distribute more than 5,000 megawatts.
Transporting electricity is a process that is done on the transmission grid at 330, 132 kV and 132, 33 kV, which is under TCN. Between 333 and 11 kVA and 11 kV and 415 volts, that is under the distribution companies. And so the investment should have been done by the owners of the distribution companies. Who are the owners of the distribution companies? 60% private investors, 40% government. Now that is where we are now having problem, because with the payment assurance guarantee scheme, more power has come compared to January last year. We are now producing about 7,000 megawatt. TCN, which is government funded directly, have come here to announce programs and projects approved for TCN. TCN is now able to wheel 7,000, but DISCO can't take more than 5,000. So you have a surplus of 2,000 that is not reaching the people. So the people who are obliged to do that work are the owners of the DISCO, which is government and private investors.
The minister noted that the new framework will bring about an investment arrangement which the DISCOs will provide 60%, while the federal government could contribute the remaining 40%.
The process which will involve international trending just for the procurement of the equipment, the lines and all of the accessories that are necessary to build out those networks, and then they will be valued. And when valued under international procurement standards, federal government intends then to put its own 40% and ask the DISCOs to put their own 60%. And other parties who may then be interested may have an opportunity to either come in and improve investment.
The minister added that more power plants could be completed this year, saying,
And that's the essential framework, is to just accelerate action to ensure that the 2,000 megawatt that is available now gets to the grid and gets to the people, because more power is coming. We're expecting many more power plants to complete this year, which will add almost about 1,600 more megawatt to the grid, to the production this year. So we can't continue to accumulate power that is produced and doesn't get to people. So this framework gives us the authority now to start the process of grid expansion, distribution expansion and investment.
A report reaching us says vandals have destroyed the New Haven to Nsukka double-circuit transmission line under construction in Enugu State. The vandals are said to have made away with several line accessories. Please take a listen.
The New Haven to Nsukka double-circuit line in Alulu, Enugu East of Enugu State, was under construction when it was vandalized by unknown persons. The Assistant General Manager Transmission at Enugu Sub-Region of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, Engineer Kazim Bakare, along with some of his principal staff, were at the site to assess the situation.
We are at Aloloniki on the track of our 132 double circuit transmission line from Enugu to Nsukka and the Anyagba substation. The towers you see on the ground is as a result of vandalism. They were vandalized, and the number increased that came down because our lines are always on tension. And if we offset this balance, the chances are that there will be a twist. And that is why if you try to vandalize, you end up pulling more towers down. And that is not in the interest of anybody. The vandals do not know what they are doing. All they are interested in is the conductor, or they end up destroying the entire tower.
Bakare said the vandalism incident will make it impossible to pick the 2x60 MVA 132/33 kV substation at Abo, 9th Mile, in the state, while it is completed by the middle of this year. This means that fresh funds will be expended in constructing new transmission towers and lines to ensure that the new substation is eventually connected to the national electricity grid. He said the incident was reported by local vigilantes to TCN, and he immediately scheduled the assessment for corrective action.
We cannot say exactly when the vandalization took place because the line is not on potential. However, we received the reports from our local vigilantes that are on our existing lines that are on potential that they spotted some towers that are on ground. And that is the reason why we are here today, to see what has happened and probably inform the relevant authorities to take corrective actions.
On reconstructing the affected sections of the lines, the TCN officials said they were having issues with way leave from host communities, which had resulted in the contractors pulling out.
The vandalized towers can only be rebuilt when the issues that led to the pulling out of contractors who were working on this line. The contractors actually left the line because we have way leave problems, we have litigation problems, and it became so difficult for them to work. And when they pull out, the consequence of their pulling out is this vandalism that followed, because there was no active presence of the contractors again on the line. And the line also has not been completed and handed over to TCN.
Engineer Bakare advised electricity consumers and host communities of power installations to increase their vigilance of TCN installations serving them.
It's definitely not completely under our control now, but we'll do our oversight function, we'll report the incidents, and we'll try to meet the local people and set up a vigilante at least along this route for now, until the contractors will come back to site. We'll look at that and see how we can set them up to avoid further destruction of government property.
He further advised them not to see the installations as government's properties, but as their own, and help resolve all issues.
We cannot put guard on all the towers. So the quick fix measure is to set up temporary vigilante. Consult also with the state government, the chiefs, and all the people along the line where this line transverse, so that we can set up a kind of, monitoring units on the line.
Electricity supply is said to have improved remarkably in neighboring Nasarawa State. The state governor, Alhaji Tanko Almakura, recently commended the federal government for improved electricity generation. That story is up next.
Almakura gave the commendation when the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, paid him a courtesy call at the government house shortly before the 23rd Power Sector meeting held in Lafia, the state capital, recently. He congratulated President Muhammadu Buhari and the minister for the giant strides towards incremental power supply.
Let me also congratulate you, Mr. President, for having increased our power supply from the fledgling 2,500 to 5,000 megawatts. I believe that couldn't be better on this note, and on behalf of myself and the people in the South State, I would like to welcome you and wish you a very successful deliberation during your power sector meeting.
The interim managing director of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, Mr. Usman Gur Mohammed, briefed the governor on transmission projects in the state. He said TCN planned to build a 132 kV line from Akwanga to Lafia, and is collaborating with the Niger Delta Power Holding Company on their projects.
We initially had a plan to build a 132 kV line from Akwanga to Lafia, and also to build a substation in Lafia, 132. Now, with the collaboration we are doing with Niger Delta, the concept has changed. Initially, we had to supply Lafia from Akwanga. Now we are going to supply Akwanga from Lafia. So the equipment for that line and the substation are some of those equipment that we cleared from the port recently. You hear about we spending 750 million to clear part of those equipment. So we are working to put the budget in the 2018 budget. It's part of it, so we are pushing the National Assembly. So once it is done, we start the construction so that we simultaneously work with Niger Delta to actualize the electricity need of this area.
He also informed the governor of the addition of 60 MVA transformer, which is a 200% increase in transmission capacity of the existing 30 MVA KEFI transmission substation in the state.
KEFI has only 30 MVA. We have added 60. 60 means that it's 200% increase on the capacity that is existing. And we're also working with the government of Japan to put a capacitor bank in KEFI. That capacitor bank is about 90% completed. By February it will finish. The capacitor bank is intended to improve the quality of power in KEFI and the environment also. And on the local Witu area, which the Honorable Minister has actually been pushing, we are doing the survey of that project so that we can extend supply from Lafia, from KEFI to that site. And that will touch Nasarawa town and also Nasarawa Toto.
Earlier, the managing director of the Niger Delta Power Holding Company, Mr. Chiedu Ugbo, also briefed the governor on power intervention projects in the state.
132 kV is a substation, KV substation in Nasarawa State in Lafia. We have a 300 MVA transformer, 2x150 MVA transformer there. We also have 2x60 transformer as well. The project has started. We are at the civil work stage. The contractor has also manufactured most of the equipment. I went with my team in November to see the equipment manufactured. They are ready and we're doing factory acceptance test now. So we're hoping we have an aggressive timeline of September this year That's aggressive, but we're sure that by December we'll have everything commissioned.
The governor, however, said on the completion of the various projects itemized, Nasarawa State will be on its way to becoming an industrial hub with increased electricity supply.
When these projects are completed, Nasarawa State will be on a pedestal for industrial excellence.
The federal government is recording significant steps in the effort to improve electricity supply nationwide. This was demonstrated recently when the governor of Nasarawa State, Alhaji Tanko Almakura, switched on the gears to energize a 2 by 7.5 MVA, 33 by 11 kV injection substation in Lafia under the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, AEDC's franchise area. Here's the story.
The injection substation was built by the Niger Delta Power Holding Company under the National Integrated Power Projects and was handed over to AEDC to distribute electricity supplied from the Transmission Company of Nigeria to consumers in the state. Commissioning the substation shortly before the 23rd Power Sector meeting began in Lafia, Governor Almakura, in company of the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, was visibly elated about the power facility coming on stream.
Excellency, Honorable Minister, Works, Power, Mr. Speaker, Managing Director, MD, TC, other very critical stakeholders in our industry. It is an honor and privilege to commission this edifice, this much cherished infrastructure for the benefit of the people of Lafia and Nasarawa State at large. I pray that this is the springboard for industrial excellence in Nasarawa State.
The governor said the project will go a long way in boosting the economy of the state through the expansion and sustainability of small-scale businesses. The managing director of NDPHC, Mr. Chiedu Ugbo, at the commissioning said the project started in 2007 and was completed about 3 years ago. He said the project was, however, vandalized before it could be handed over and had to be rehabilitated by the company. Ugbo said the two 7.5 MVA power transformers at the station could inject 13 megawatts of electricity to the existing supply to Lafia and environs. The attention of the management of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, has been drawn to the recent misrepresentation in recent media publications of the operation of its terminated fiber optic concession contract. It is imperative to state that the issue in question is before a competent court of law. TCN has confidence in our court system and is sure that justice will prevail based on very clear facts of the case. Management, Transmission Company of Nigeria. Announcer.
For more reports, here is Power Flash to fill you in. and capacity building is crucial to development and successful implementation of activities, programs and projects of government. Without requisite and appropriate capacity in the power sector, actualization of projects and programs will be an uphill task. I had an interview with the Acting Director General of the National Power Training Institute of Nigeria, NAPTIN, Mr. Ahmed Bolaji Nagode, who spoke to me, among other things, on government's effort to build a much-needed capacity to service the power sector, especially among the youth. Let's start with one of government's key interests for this year. That's metering. It's one of government's key focus of intervention for 2018. What is NAPTIN doing in terms of capacity building for meter installations in the country?
We have a metering policy whereby, we have a program on metering installation and maintenance to ensure that those who are going to handle metering installation, are well trained in order to deliver, on the project. We also have, a course, on metering audit to ensure that there will be supervision, of metering carried out in order to ensure there's no foul play and then that the system, works, perfectly. So NAPTIN has this course, but the extent, of meters that are required within the industry create an opportunity for young Nigerians who seek to build career in the power sector, especially in metering, installation, and maintenance, to come forward, to get trained, and then to seize this opportunity to be active in terms of ensuring, that they participate, in the Nigerian power sector, recovery plan project. I think it's a very, very veritable, opportunity for young Nigerians, to be trained, to become Mr. Installers and maintenance, because the gap is very huge.
Talking about building capacity among Nigerian youths, can you tell me what the situation has been in terms of capacity building in the power sector?
We're increasing, our capacity in terms of our generation, day in, day out. And if you have expansion, inevitably you have hands, to really operate, the infrastructure that are coming up, and also, to maintain this infrastructure. So at various stages, we have programs, that would definitely make it easy, for young Nigerians, to really key into the power sector, project. At the graduate level, we have training for graduates of electrical engineering and mechanical engineering. Because these are the two engineering fields that have strong role to play within the mainstream of the power sector itself. That is generation, transmission, and distribution. So our program, which we have been running for more than 5 years, we started this program in 2012, and that's the NAPTIN Graduate Skills Development Program. It's a 1-year program, and it can be likened to what we have within the legal profession, whereby law graduates, when they come out of the university with a degree in law, LLB, law, they are expected, in order to become professionals in the legal profession, to go to the law school, to have a 1-year program that will qualify as a BL, qualification that will bring them, to become, lawyers. So this is the program which we have really fashioned out for graduates, of electrical and mechanical engineering. After, graduation in the university, you cannot go directly, to the network. It's very, very dangerous. You need to acquire requisite skills to make it possible for you to operate, within the sector. And this 1-year program, we have them in modules. We have 3 months in the classroom and 9 months on the field. Since the inception of that very program, we have trained 1,050 graduates of electrical and mechanical engineering. And because of that competitive edge, which they have been, we have a kind of a successful rate of almost 80% or 70% taken over by the distribution companies and then the generation companies.
this is where we draw the curtains on this episode of Power Wheel. Thank you for your time and views as we solicit for more in order to keep making strides expected of us. You can keep them coming by using the email, Facebook and Twitter handle on your screen. Please keep a date with us for fresh episodes of Power Wheel. And until we bring you another edition of the program, I am Omelogo Nadi. See you next time.